washing my hands. See proof of my affliction. No more hot in the straight. No more crash when I pray. I go. Think clean coming us. Think clean. I go. Think clean coming us.
FYVE Geronimo.
I'm jumping out the window with this one.
Yours truly. Y'all know who it is. It's your boy, Mr. Uncut. Welcome to a special edition of Uncut Line Productions on this beloved Memorial Day. I want to open this up a little bit differently. Y'all know how I do. Always come at you with the real deal. You know, though we are celebrating the festivities, if you may, of Memorial Day, what I'm often discomforted with is the fact that a lot of our beloveds that have served in the armed forces via all branches, armed force, Air Force, Army, yeah, I know I just messed it up, the Marines, you name all the forces within the military branches. It's so disheartening that when I look at the unhoused population, yeah, I'm gonna go there. They said, man, you always talking about the unhoused. What is your obsession? No, it's not an obsession. It's the fact that we need to get real with it to deal with it. And a lot of our beloveds that are unhoused are veterans. These individuals have paved the way for us to do the very things that we do today. And they can't get something as simple as a cot, something to lay their head down. They can't get something as simple as making sure that they have the medication. In this beloved United States, that we have our very own who have put their life, who have even put themselves on the front lines, where they have had their health, they have put their physical bodies for you and I. Yeah, I was talking a few days ago with a beloved veteran, and he said one of the things that disheartens him is the fact that he served in the armed forces for over 15 years. And he said one of the things that bothers him is the fact that he doesn't see enough of us, we the people, standing up for what's right, speaking truth to power. He said it is not enough of the people. He says when he put that uniform on, he said he knew he had one mission in mind, and that was to fight, to stand up with courage, with boldness, and to make sure that we the people, that we will stand up and stand tall and stand strong. And when we see injustice, that we don't be afraid to speak, that we don't be afraid. Yeah, this was a beloved, 69 years of age. And he says he does not know what has happened in the culture. He says it's like individuals are afraid. They've forgotten who they are. He says he desires to see everyone from all groups, the baby boomers, the millennials, the Gen Zs, to really not be afraid, but to step up with boldness and courage. He says, boldness, and lack of empathy are the ingredients that are missing. Yeah, I know I just ran on for about 4 minutes, but I had to let y'all know this is the type of thing that we really need to reflect on. That courage. Are we really making sure that everyone is getting a fair shot and a fair opportunity for true justice and liberty in the pursuit of happiness? I just want to know. Well, without any further ado, y'all, eyes on the community. Gorgeous Prince George's. Prestige Prince George's. Yeah, y'all know I had to throw that out there. Y'all know who it is. It's your boy, Mr. Uncut. We keep it real. We keep it 100 or 1,000. We're not going to be paused, edited, or muted. Whatever you see here, hey, the car's lay had it later. It just doesn't get no realer than that. Well, without any further ado, y'all know this beloved angel right here. The none other than Miss Tonya Sweat, the candidate that is sweating for change for Prince George's County, Maryland. Without any further ado, we're going to dig right on in.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me back. I always have to say that. Happy Memorial Day, even though I don't know why we say Happy Memorial Day. Nobody's ever happy to memorialize somebody. But so I'll say happy, unofficial start of summer. How about that?
Yes.
Today has been not a holiday for me. I've been working today. So people go, why is she doing Uncut today? Because I'm working today. Being a vet myself, you touched on all the right issues in your intro. One, Memorial Day is always a day of reflection for me. I'm grateful for the time that I served in the Air Force, 7 years. What it did for me, though, is it changed me in a lot of ways. And it definitely changed my thinking about this holiday, because I really now understand the loss that families suffer when one of my brothers or sisters at arms is lost on the battlefield. And so I always take today to reflect on what I can do in service to the country and to the nation, even though I no longer wear uniform. I reflect on the ultimate sacrifice that many have paid so that we can be free to speak our minds in boldness, so that we can show empathy toward our fellow man. I think about the children who had to grow up without their mom and their dad. And I always think about the fact that many of our Gold Star families see their loved one as an angel, a guardian, a hero even, but they're still lost. They're still lost. A family member's gone. There's still that hole, as the president likes to say, in your heart that'll never be filled. And so today for me is always one that I spend with my family. And my husband and I took time today, and I'm still campaigning, doing the work. But we rode out past Cheltenham Memorial Cemetery. And we were looking at them put the flags out, and the families who were out there looking at the headstones and the graves. And today I just think about them, because that's what today is about. It's about them. I'm grateful for their ultimate sacrifice. I'm grateful for the sacrifice of the men and women who've given their lives so that we can be free, so that I can do what I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. When you hear people say freedom is not free, freedom is not free. It's been paid for by the bloodshed of many. And so while y'all out there barbecuing, jumping in the pool for the first time, enjoying your family and friends, please don't take for granted the lives that were lost, so you would have the right to do that on this day. Along with that, as we are campaigning, yes, we're thinking about our veterans who are homeless. And what I need the community to know is I now better understand that phenomenon as well. I have a brother who's also a vet, a retired Marine, and my brother was injured in Afghanistan. He's still recovering from a traumatic brain injury. He suffers from PTSD. And while my family is extremely grateful that he is at home with his wife and his children, and he's raising his family and loving his family, we also appreciate sometimes it's difficult for him because he has flashbacks of what he saw at war in Iraq, because he went to war in Iraq, what he saw at war in Afghanistan. They come back, those memories come back at times that he can't predict or control, and they affect his emotional state of being. It affects his mental health. We are so grateful that he goes to counseling and he has doctors who are taking excellent care of him. But I bring that up because I understand now better the veterans who are on the street and who choose, some of them choose to leave their families because of the state of their mental being. And they don't feel that they're healthy enough to be with their families, and so they leave. The outburst of anger, the uncontrollable emotions that they feel when they have those flashbacks and things that they've seen in Vietnam or in Korea, those things are very real. I mean, I've had late nights when my brother and I have been on the phone, and I just let him talk about his memories. He didn't talk about them every day, but there are moments when he has to talk about it and get it off his chest. And I just let him talk. And the stories that he shared with me, the things that he's seen, no person, nobody should have to do that. I mean, he still lives with survivor's guilt because he lost members of his battalion, of his group. And he was their sergeant. He was their NCO. He still lives with that, not being able to bring them back alive. But he'll tell you, he's a Marine. They left none of their men behind. But how they had to bring them back is traumatic. It's hard when you got to walk the battlefield and pick up pieces of people so that you bring them home so that they can get a proper burial. That's what many of our homeless brothers and some of our sisters are dealing with on the streets. Those visions, those memories, they come back like a flood. And unfortunately, not every family can deal with that. Not every family member understands that. And we've got to do work in our mental health system to help them deal with that.
I remember back in February of last year, we had met a couple of veterans over at
The transition house, yep.
transitional house.
I know.
And when you think about just this holiday, you know what I'm saying? The constituents that are veterans, it's a lot of them that are not getting the necessary help, supportive help that they should within Prince George's County. And it's just so shocking because we hide a lot behind prestige. We hide a lot by a lot of labels and things of such that we really miss. We're talking about Memorial Day, but is it really, are we really respecting those individuals? Are we really giving that homage?
Right. No, we don't. I'll be honest with you. For us living vets, we'll tell you today is not our day, because it's not. Today was the day set aside to remember our fallen heroes, the ones who died. Veterans Day in November is the day set aside to remember us living veterans, but we still don't pay true homage then either.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it real. I'm gonna bring it home. Prince George's County has the largest population of veterans in the state of Maryland. we're not doing enough. Yeah, we have VA offices in the county. We have our bases are here. Many of us get access to care on our military facilities. Many of us still have TRICARE. I'm one. I'm not gonna lie. My family still gets medical care provided by the federal government, and we're grateful for that. But there's so much more that we can do for our veterans. Okay, the state gives those of us who are 100% disabled veterans certain benefits. And I'm glad to know that every veteran who has access to it is taking benefit of it. I said, milk it for all you can. You earned it, it's yours. Yeah. Enjoy it. Yeah. But for those who are not 100% disabled, there's still so much more we need to do. I'm going to pick on our governor. It ain't personal, but he did something that really was offensive to me. When the COVID vaccines came out and they were trying to encourage Marylanders to get vaccinated, he said, we're going to do a lottery for everybody who gets the vaccine and lives in Maryland, except if you're a veteran and you were vaccinated at a federal facility. If you got your vaccine at the VA in Maryland, you were included in the lottery. But for those of us who got vaccinated on Joint Base Bowling or Joint Base Andrews or Walter Reed, because that's where we get our medical care, we couldn't participate in that lottery. Why? Governor Hogan, how can you say you support veterans? How can you say you applaud veterans for our service? But when it comes to giving us money for doing something to protect public health, you cut us out because we went to the federal government to get assistance. Yeah. I had a problem with that. Yeah. We have veterans who are fighting to save their homes. And yes, you can go to the VA if you have a mortgage, and the VA has programs to help you save your home if you have bought a home and you have a mortgage. But if you're a renter, there's not a whole lot of assistance in the VA for renting a home. So rental assistance is a little shaky. What did the county do? Now, I keep hearing the county had $206 million in rental assistance dispersed. But what I haven't seen, what I haven't heard is the number of Prince George's County renters who benefited from that $206 or $208 million. How many leases were saved? How many veterans got their rent paid during COVID so that they weren't kicked out of their homes? How many disabled got their rent paid? Give me some numbers. I need qualitative and quantitative data to support the dollar signs we keep putting on things. The county's talking about investing in people. Investing in people doesn't mean you throw money at people all the time. Sometimes investing in people means you've got to do a little bit more to make sure their needs are met. Meaning, we've got to pay and hire more social workers who can go out on the streets to make sure those who can apply for SNAP benefits, housing assistance, EBT cards, or whatever it is they got to offer, are applying for those things. I know at the homeless shelters, there are social workers who go in and assist those who need that assistance, but we need a resident social worker in every homeless shelter, especially at the men's shelter. We need someone from our workforce development program in residence at those shelters, so that if you come in and you don't have a job, let's talk about the available jobs that are out there that you can qualify for. Let's talk about training programs that are available, and let's get you in them right now so you can get back up on your feet. If you happen to be a veteran suffering from PTSD or traumatic brain injury or some emotional disability that keeps you from being at home with your family, with your children. Let's talk about getting you those mental health resources so that you can learn how to cope with your disability, your illness, your condition, so that you can integrate back into your life. Because you have family members who miss you. And we know as veterans, you miss them. Where are those people? Why aren't they on the county's payroll? What are they doing? I had the pleasure of being introduced virtually to a gentleman, and I'm going to reach out to him, and I'm going to walk the streets with him for a day, Mr. Wendell Williams. I understand he goes out looking for basically homeless people to try to encourage them to come off the streets, to offer them resources. But he's one. We need a team. We need a team.
And according to what, and Mr. Uncut gonna let y'all get the real deal. Two things you touched on, and I know this to be true because I've had individuals that have reached out to the platform of Uncut Live. Social workers, therapists were actually fighting to be able to extend the supportive services in Prince George's County, because a lot of their services that they provide are being billed through the insurance. So when they had the rollout for the virtual access, and when the emergency lift got lifted,
right, the state of emergency.
State of emergency got lifted. It really affected those individuals, for those ones who were getting, those supportive services. So what ended up happening, there was a lapse.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those individuals that were improving in their mental health, some of them they regressed, had a couple of setbacks, because again, I'm gonna talk about this again, because now I'm gonna pick on this. It seems like now there is more accountability being made for our social workers than it is. I'm gonna go here because it's true. Than our police officers. I know. Yeah, this Uncut moment. Let me help y'all out. Because I am on the side of what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. Okay, so let's make this very clear. If we're going to have these standards, because really this goes back to a lot of the other officers who have reached out to me, who have said that they're being put into positions that they don't have the necessary understanding, not because they don't want to have the necessary understanding, but it's just beyond. It's new. It's out. It's out of their caliber, because it's new. That's not what they signed up for.
Exactly. And now we're getting into my competence. I love it when we get to them C's. We have to train our professionals, our first responders, our support staff, our support teams. We have to train them in how to do the work. Matter of fact, believe it or not, I was just talking to a fire chief yesterday about this very subject. I learned that some of our fire chiefs have been punished because they're actually trying to give their staff the necessary training to deal with these types of issues that we're talking about right now. When the calls come in about a person having a mental health break, or there's an extreme challenge, or even if it's not a mental health issue, it's a criminal issue, but the person who's being apprehended has been pepper sprayed, or the person has been tased, and so now they need medical treatment. Well, who do you call? In Prince George's County, that's the fire and EMS system, the department. They're firefighters emergency medical support staff, EMTs, paramedics, they all come together. Well, fire chiefs are being punished because they want their staff to get the same training that the police officers are getting when it comes to taking down a perpetrator. And so what they're being told is the firefighters are not supposed to get pepper sprayed in training or tased in training because that's outside the scope of their job. And I question that because as a military member, I got pepper sprayed. Even though I was a lawyer in the military. But I got pepper sprayed in training because if you go to war, pepper spray is used in war. You need to know how to deal with that. You need to know the reaction you're going to have when you run into that environment. Same with our medical first responders. They may have to transport a person who has been tased and may be having an adverse reaction, or they have to deal with a person who's been pepper sprayed and is now having an adverse reaction. So they need to know what their patient, because now you've gone from perpetrator to patient, what is that patient experiencing? Because the person may not be able to communicate with you. They just may be rolling on a gurney, screaming, rubbing their eyes. Ah, it's burning, it's burning, it's burning. And you can't get a coherent answer to address their medical needs. Because we have to put aside for a minute that you just committed a crime. We got to put that aside because we got to deal with your medical needs so that you can be in your right state of mind and physically ready, mentally ready to stand trial. Period. So what's wrong with an EMT, a paramedic, or even a firefighter experiencing that in a training environment for a brief moment so that they physically understand what their patients might be suffering from? Why would you punish someone who goes through training to learn that? That's how you build empathy. It's happened right here in Prince George's County. I thought we were all on the same team here. Maybe we're not. I'm a bit confused. So yes, we need to train our officers. Am I saying we need to tase police officers? Yeah, kind of, sort of. Because they need to understand what that feels like when they tase somebody. Because what you see on TV is not necessarily reality. Am I saying officers need to be shot so that they understand? No, I'm not saying we need to attempt to kill somebody, but a taser is not intended to kill someone. Unfortunately, that is one of the potential side effects depending upon the person you tase. You don't know if that person has a weak heart, and you may induce a heart attack. So in a training environment, and yes, police officers can be tased in a training environment so that they understand what that feels like. Police officers are often, yes, pepper sprayed in a training environment so that they know what that feels like. Because I don't want our officers just flagrantly, recklessly wielding tasers and pepper spray without understanding this is serious. It may not be deadly, or it may not be considered deadly force, but this is still serious. That then brings back empathy into the police officer so that when he or she is dealing with the community, they'll slow it down for a minute, bring it down a notch. Think about what you're doing before you inflict that harm, that pain on somebody. And then understand, if it is necessary to inflict that, to get a person into custody, to apprehend them, then you need to be able to recognize their cry for medical attention is serious. I need to get emergency medical personnel here now. Come on in, take them. And we'll escort them and do what we need to do on the legal side later. That's how you get your officers to understand that. That's a part of training. That's a part of competence. That builds in empathy. That then takes away a little bit of the possibility or probability that the police are going to be abusive. Because when you don't understand my pain, You don't care about my pain. All you care about right now is getting me under control. And so, yes, you will use my pain against me in an attempt to control me, but that's not right. That's wrong. That's inhumane. That's abusive. And we shouldn't do that to people, because our Constitution says you're innocent until proven guilty. So, yes, we need to train our police officers. Yes, we need to have trained medical personnel, especially when that 911 call comes in and we hear on the line, my dad's having a mental breakdown. My brother's thinking about committing suicide. My sister's walking around with a knife saying she's going to kill herself. My mama's in trouble right now. She's bipolar. She didn't take her meds. Our 911 dispatchers need to know, before I send in the Prince George's County Police Department, I need a call for emergency medical personnel who are trained to talk this person down, get them to agree to be transported to a hospital for medical attention. Because let's just keep this thing real. Our police officers are there to protect and serve, but they also have a law enforcement role. And they go into that law enforcement role very quickly. And it's not the same as the role of a medical provider. It's not the nurse. It's not the doctor. And so the responses you're going to get are going to be totally different. That doesn't mean you don't train your officer on empathy. That doesn't mean you don't train your emergency medical personnel to be prepared for what might happen in that law enforcement environment. They need to understand what each other does. They need to understand the roles, and they need to be prepared to work together to address the issue wherever it is. Because our EMTs, they will tell you, you pull out a gun on me and I ask you to drop that gun, you don't drop that gun, I'm going to step back and let the officer do what he does, because that's his job, that's not mine. But if that officer launches pepper spray and the paramedic standing there, guess what? If the wind blowing, paramedic going to get pepper spray by accident. If the officer launches that taser and the perpetrator runs, or somehow that taser is misdirected, oops, paramedic might get hit. We don't want that to happen, but it's a possibility. Everybody needs to be prepared for that. So we need to train our personnel to deal with that. And then, yes, we need to recruit more social workers who have the therapeutic training to talk to people and to calm people down when our EMTs may not be able to do that.
I'm going to say this. 90 days, you could become a police officer. A social worker, it takes years. We don't let that pause and marinate. It's more easier to become an officer than it is a social worker. I put that out there. So when we talk about public safety, I've been saying this over and over. Cultural sensitivity training.
Yes.
We need to hire. I'm a little bit pissed because when I was visiting out with my friends, I was in VA and I seen this job fair. They had billboards that were posted up recruiting officers from VA to work in PG County. That's not cultural sensitivity, because you're bringing two different dynamics. I'm going to talk about it because it's real. What is going on within the county that there's no recruitment from within? Why is it? Or is it that individuals are not applying? And if individuals are not applying, are they not applying because they don't have the education or the certification? Or is it other dynamics that's going on?
All of the above.
We got to get real with it to deal with it. How many more lawsuits in Prince George's County, hello, are we going to keep having before we, another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and all of these dollars just going out, boom, going out, going out, going out.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is homeless and they need a cot. Where they gonna go? Because in Prince George's County, there's only one men's shelter. I just want to know the competency, because we are criminalizing.
Mm-hmm.
I know this to be true because the beloved Madam State's Attorney, when I was in on the call of the coalition and I brought this very thing to her attention, I said, so we're locking up black men, and I'm going to talk about black men because as y'all saw previously before my interview with Mr. Brandon Burrell, he told you that there is that Maryland has the highest rate of black men being locked up. And a good majority of those things that they're being locked up for are instances like this. When I talked to the Madam State's Attorney, after I indicated to her to let her know that I was dealing with a gentleman who I happen, because of the level of advocacy in the coalition partners of Uncut Live Productions, are building other partnerships, unfortunately, outside the jurisdiction of Prince George's County. This individual, once it was time for him to be able to get the supportive services, he got connected with a caseworker. So then the caseworker partnered him up with a job training, but because he had this trespass warrant that came from Prince George's County, made it very hard for him to be able to obtain employment.
Mm-hmm.
I know what they're saying, expungements. Let me help you guys out. Because we've been pushing this expungement thing like it's the new
magic.
like it's magic.
The magic.
Jobs can tell you had an expungement.
Mm-hmm.
That company can decide to their discretion as to whether or not if they choose or want to hire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know there's a list of jobs that are out there that take individuals who have expungements, but that becomes a limitation. Because in my view, you're going to put a trespass warrant for a black man that's at a train stop because he's called the 800 line, and the 800 line says you need to keep calling in 7 days a week just to figure out if there's room or for a bed, and the list goes up, and if the list doesn't move up, so now he is put into a position to where he's where is he going to go? There's no warming center. There's no warming center. There's no safe center. Matter of fact, from what I have even heard, there's been a lot of limitations on what they call the Warm Nights program because there are not a lot of partnerships being built with other entities to be able to house or hold these individuals. Let's talk about this because we often only reference when we talk about the state of the unhoused population. We somehow think it's only one season throughout the whole year, not realizing that summers our winters are getting colder, and our summers are getting hot.
In some instances, yes.
And so I get it. You know, we have businesses that don't want individuals to, you know, for them to be in certain places and whatnot. But guess what? Prince George's County, the Mecca, we priding ourselves on being the Mecca, right? We're the most influential. No, you're not. If we're not taking care of the vulnerable. If you want to see a nation succeed, the success of a nation is judged by how well it takes care of the vulnerable. Those that are sick, those that are oppressed, those that are marginalized, those that are overlooked. If you're not taking care of them, you're not successful. Yeah, I know I just had a little tangent, but y'all, that's just hear my zeal, hear my passion, hear my zeal. Because we've got to, you talk about the competency, having the knowledge and the understanding. Because like what was said on in the interview with Mr. Burrell, you criminalizing poverty.
Pretty much.
So it's easy to arrest them, throw them in, but in actuality, you're wasting money, and you really could be.
You're not. I won't say you're wasting it. You're transferring wealth someplace else that it doesn't need to be. I'm gonna hit a couple of things, and I'm gonna do this. I like doing this with you because it's comfortable and it's easy to talk. And the nice thing is it's recorded, so if somebody else comes up with the idea, I can always pull back the tape and say, "Hey, I said this first." There are a couple things we need to do in our community because of where we are right now, as it relates to public safety, as it relates to taking care of our brothers, as it relates to raising our young men. One, we've got to rebuild the trust with law enforcement. That's gone. And that was gone before George Floyd. Let's just keep it real. We didn't lose trust in the police because of what happened 2 years ago. Trust was gone. The loss was solidified 2 years ago. So we've got to rebuild the trust in law enforcement. So public safety officials, police, security, we've got to get back to protecting and serving the community. Number one. And yes, that's going to require us to recruit more of us into the career field, but not to assimilate them into the abuse and the tactics that have been used to try to control us. We have to assimilate them back. Everybody talks about officer friendly, so I'll use that phrase. We have to recruit more of us so that we can get back to having officer friendly on the police force, so that we can do more community policing. We have to police us. But because we've lost trust in policing, because we've lost trust in the police, we do this. My attitude always is, instead of running from the thing I detest, I'm going to run to it and attempt to, in going into that system, change it for the better. So we need more of us to go into the system and change it for the better. The second thing I have to hit on, and I'm big on this, is education. We've got to educate our labor force. We've got to prepare our young men, our young ladies, even our more mature men and ladies. We've got to educate us to do the job. Understand why we need the police to begin with. How many of us out there driving on the beltway get cut off and you want to flick the bird, you want to cuss, you want to scream because somebody's driving recklessly or erratically? That's why we need the law. Because I'm very afraid to say Prince George's County, the state of Maryland, the nation is disintegrating into anarchy because not only have we lost respect and trust for the police, we're losing respect for the law. And without the law, because we already know we can't do the commandment thing. The golden rule went out the window a long time ago.
Yep.
So we are all now at risk without the law. If there's nobody there to ensure that we drive 55 miles per hour on the highway, everybody's going to drive 70, 80, 90. And everybody mad about it, but everybody's doing it. And how are we going to enforce it? Because self-discipline, that's gone. It's gone. So we are disintegrating into anarchy. So we've got to educate ourselves, not just on reading, writing, ABCs, math, and arithmetic. We need to educate ourselves on understanding why things are the way they are. Because it's not just about making your life miserable. It's about creating a safe environment for all of us. We're all complaining about the crime rate going up. Well, laws are in place to try to keep the crime rate down. But because we lost respect for the police, so law enforcement's not happening. We're not educating our children, so they really can't get employed to get good jobs, so they turn to breaking the law, and now everybody's screaming the crime rate's going up. Well, the system is broken. We got to fix it, period. We got to set standards, and we got to enforce them. That's all it boils down to. The other thing that we've got to deal with is it's not always about government telling you what to do. It's just about individuals setting standards for themselves. Self-respect, self-dignity.
The village.
Yeah, the village.
The village.
The village.
The village.
We got to look out for each other. I don't have a problem with somebody telling me my 10-year-old was out of line. Because if she out of line, she out of line. We need to correct that. What I don't want is the community abusing our children or being harsh toward children, because children are going to be children. Yeah. Children are going to be mischievous. There's certain childhood behavior that's just natural. You're going to have a spat or two here, there. You're going to have a fight here, there. You can correct that without being abusive and without breaking our children's spirit. And then we can share that information with parents who will then reaffirm the right thing to do so that the adults work together to ensure that our children grow up to be successful, contributing adults. That's how it used to work anyway. But all of that is breaking down. It's broken down. And everybody's complaining, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? But nobody's holding that mirror up going, oops, this is where I failed. I could have done more. I didn't do this. We talk about snitching. What do we say? Snitches get stitches?
That's what they say.
Well, you know what? As long as you don't tell on the people who doing bad, you're going to keep getting bad. And then you get mad at the government because the government don't stop it. You get mad at the police because they don't show up. Well, guess what? You don't respect the police. You don't trust the police, but you want them to show up when the people shooting in your neighborhood, when they're stealing your hubcaps, when they're breaking into your house. We got to fix all of that. And oh, by the way, yeah, I'm going to need you to snitch a time or two. Because then them rascals will figure out, I don't want to do this in this neighborhood because I'm going to get in trouble. And then it's going to be up to government to do what government's supposed to do, which means we create diversion programs so that it ain't just about him. Little Billy, let me slap you on your wrist, put you on probation because you was wrong when little Billy pulled a gun out on his grandmama. No, we need to do a little bit more than that. Don't just put him on probation for a couple of months and then say, go on about your business. No. You need to serve some consequences so that you understand why pulling a gun on grandmama is not what you want to do.
Exactly.
So we change your trajectory, put you on another path so that you learn from that mistake and do better next time. But now we got a system in place that said, oh, don't do that no more. You on probation for 90 days now. If you don't get no more trouble, your record's clear, go on about your life. And you feel like, oh, I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. I just got to serve 30 days, 90 days, and be a good boy. And then I go back to raising hell again. What? Something's wrong with our criminal justice system because that's how it's working at the moment, I'm sorry to say. Now, am I law and order, hang them high, throw them 3 strikes you out kind of person. No. What I'm saying is we need to use the criminal justice system to alter people's thinking. Diversion programs. It's not just about taking $100,000, $200,000, throwing them at community organizations and say, hey, I need you to go out here and be a violence interrupter. You can't interrupt violence, because if you're not standing there when it pops off, how are you going to stop it? It's all reactionary. So that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 should have been taken and put into diversion programs so that when these kids come through the courthouse, you tell the judges, instead of locking them up, send them over here so we can talk to them, so we can counsel them, so we can put them in tutoring if that's what they need, so we can put them in a job training program if that's what they need, and say, hey, if you complete this program successfully and you get a job, or and you get your high school diploma, and you show us some modicum of success, and that you're trying to change your ways, now your record's gone. Go on with your life, because I know you've learned your lesson and you're more than likely going to stay on the right track. But if you come back, the option is now I'm going to have to lock you up for 3, 4, 5 years. Carrot or stick. That's what we got to put in place. We got to put it back in place. I don't see that happening right now in Prince George's County. And so we wonder, why is it all crazy? Why is it falling apart? Because we are not giving people incentives to do good. Period. That's just my thought. Nowhere.
Y'all, we got to get real with it to deal with it. And we're going to continue to have conversations like this here on Uncut Live Productions. I always appreciate you coming by, stopping on the set, and you know, we just having these real conversations and getting to the root of it.
Oh yeah, we got to deal with our mental health. I don't call it a crisis. It didn't have to be a crisis. We haven't dealt with it. We got to deal with it. We've got to get those professionals in place to help those who need it. And then we've got to do some carrot or stick, some diversionary tactics to get our youth on track to success. We're not doing that either. And then we got to train our government employees so they do the right thing.
Y'all heard it here first. Your boy, Mr. Uncut, coming at you, bringing the bangers, keeping the conversation going, letting you know the real deal. Y'all stay locked and loaded. Y'all continue to follow Uncut Live Productions as you're going to continue to follow the platform. Go check out all of our previous shows. Follow Uncut Live Productions on Facebook. Type in Uncut Live Productions on YouTube. As I always say on every show, you just got plugged in with your boy, Mr. Uncut. Y'all go out and make it a great day. Peace.